Welcome, everybody, to the Making Awesome podcast. This is episode 202. We're going to have a fun couple of episodes coming up. This one is from a maker's perspective. Stratasys versus Bambu from a maker's perspective. We are going to start this off very clearly with I am not a lawyer. If you want to hear from a lawyer, that's next week. We have an actual patent attorney who's been on the podcast before, Seth Polanski, is coming on next week to talk all about Stratasys versus Bambu from an actual intellectual property, specifically patent attorney perspective. So if you guys are excited for that, get subscribed, leave a like, all those things. Huge thank you to Mad Cat for the $5 starting us out. And as we've discussed before, and I will discuss on every stream, we keep these streams completely ad-free for you all so that you have an uninterrupted experience while it is live. But hey, we do ask every now and then for a couple of bucks so that we can afford to keep the lights on around here. Which is funny because there's a whole video about that coming out soon that has nothing to do with, like, paying bills. I think you'll enjoy it. We have some awesome people here hanging out, most of which beat me to the punch. I am running late today. But we got Mad Cat, of course, Max H, Spectra V3I, 3D Medic Vince, Jose is here, Soundspark retracted a message, but I see them here. FJ Prince, Brian, Sparks on Tap, Lifehold Strategic, let's see, Adam is here. Who else we got? Mike from Never Let the Machines Win says, make sure that you like that smash button and show your support for Victoria's 3D Musketeers channel. You damn right. Matrix Tech, Saul is here. Got some awesome people hanging out. So, clearly, the video, the Stratasys versus Bambu video, you guys all like that, so I appreciate it. It was kind of our first time with a video taking longer to get it to market than we would have wanted. I wanted to put a video out, like, the next day. But I said, let's go ahead, let it sit. Let's see how this plays out. Let's do some research, try to contact attorneys and all of that. Let's get opinions from patent lawyers before we actually make a video on it, because I know we're not going to be the only ones to do it. It means we're not going to get a ton of views on that video, although it is doing well in my opinion. The goal of that video was to present a more informed perspective. And for those that don't know, I guess I should put out there that we work with patent attorneys, we work with individuals in that field all the time. Because something that we're very passionate about around here is intellectual property. We're very passionate about that IP for, you know, both the little guy and the big guy. Now, if you remember back when we talked with Seth previously, Seth is a very frank talker. So, you know, the system is not designed to help you. It is racist, it is sexist, it is classist, right? Like, straight up, that's exactly what the man said, give or take. I'm roughly quoting. But it's because he's right. The system isn't designed to help the little guy. And if you think that Bambu is a little guy, you're wrong. Bambu has a war chest that is at least the size of Stratasys's. What a terrible way to, like... Are we going to go Stratasys like share, where it's just share, right? Or are we going to go Stratasys's war chest? It seems weird. Stratasys war chest sounds better to me. Anyways, both of them have what is effectively the ability to print money. And Bambu specifically, based on our knowledge, now this might not be 100% accurate, but based on our knowledge, Bambu is funded by some of the largest venture capital firms in the world, as well as having support from, of course, the Chinese government, as a lot of Chinese businesses tend to, that do business internationally. So money's not a problem. The issue comes down to the truth, right? Is there infringement occurring? If there is infringement occurring, is it valid infringement? And what does that look like from a broad spectrum, whole market share thing, right? Because everybody seems to be infringing on at least one or two of these patents. Like, every 3D printing company that I can think of is infringing on multiple patents. And people in the comments talk about, why don't they all jump in? Because they're not idiots. They're not gonna jump in. Why would another company say, hey, Bambu, we want to stand with you and fight so that we have to pay for our lawyers too? No, they're gonna let Bambu take the hit. And then they're gonna see what happens from that, right? Chances are this just settles outside of court and everything just goes away. I'm sorry, I know a lot of you want to see some sort of decision made from this, you know, some sort of precedent set, but if you're asking me, I think it's going to settle outside of court. It's going to go away quietly. The prices of Bambu printers are either going to go up or the next line of Bambu printers are going to have a higher price point. They're going to pay a royalty to Stratasys because ultimately that is likely considerably cheaper than actually trying to fight this and taking it to the P-tab, which I got wrong in the video, and I'm still pissed off at myself. This is the Patent Trials and Appeals Board, not Admissions Board. I don't know where the hell I got that from, but it's the Patent Trials and Appeals Board. But yeah, dude, these lawsuits can drag on for years. And if you don't believe me, the lawsuit of Creality versus Artec, where Artec sued Creality for patent infringement and a couple of other things, that is still ongoing. Okay, these lawsuits take a long time to get through. To give you an idea, I have that one open still. I'm gonna pull the docket. When was it filed? March 25th of 2022. So that docket was filed over 2 years ago. That lawsuit is still ongoing to this day. Okay. And I am positive there's tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on lawyers. Remember, in a lawsuit, the only people that are guaranteed to win are the lawyers. That's it. You as a plaintiff or a defendant have no guarantee. Your attorneys, they have guarantees. And before you say, well, Grant, what about the ones that say if, you don't pay unless we win? That's literally the law. Fun fact, I'll get into this a little bit later, but a lot of legal firms operate under the you don't pay unless we win because that's the law. They're utilizing your ignorance of the law for marketing purposes. And if it involves a personal injury of pretty much any type in the United States, it is you don't pay unless they win. They work on contingency, but it's a very high contingency. I can't talk specifically how much because I have a personal injury case, and I don't know if that would violate any non-disclosures that I have regarding that case, but hey, that's the way life goes. BLD Designs, $5 saying, let's go ad free. Thank you very much. And Max H with another $5 saying, I can help a little. Thank you both for helping keep these things ad free. My goal is to make it so that people don't have to watch ads. And I know that it feels, I don't like asking for money either. I'm moving my camera up a little bit. I feel like there's not enough headroom. But this was just an idea that we tried, and it seems to work really well. You guys seem to like it. If you want to give memberships too, that's always good. Bearded Printer for $5. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate you all. He says, I'm a sue Stratasys for being mean. Oh, yeah, there was someone in the comments talking about how they're going to go after Stratasys for discrimination and harassment. I'm like, it's not how this works. Stratasys, welcome to the United States, where you can sue for whatever reason that you want. A good reason, bad reason, or no reason at all. If you want to waste your money in court, by all means, go waste your money in court. Nobody is going to stop you from doing that. Now, there are slap suits and anti-slap laws that exist, but in Texas, specifically in the 4th District of Texas, where Stratasys is doing this lawsuit, there are no anti-slap laws, but slap is more about freedom of speech than it is about, like, BS things. I don't think that a slap law would have kept Stratasys from suing Bambu, for whatever that's worth. But again, not a lawyer. Not a lawyer. Not a lawyer. So Dark Alley Studio says, I feel Stratasys is strong-arming Bambu by using the U.S. market. If you don't play ball or pay us, we will keep your printers out of the U.S. market. So there absolutely is, there absolutely is a whole part of this of saying it's our market share, F out. But you have to remember that Stratasys really doesn't have a foothold in the consumer 3D printing market. Their foothold is going to be MakerBot, which, by the way, they paid over $600 million for back in the day. Go ahead and get your Dr. Evil Pinky, because that is actually, they paid more for MakerBot back in the day than their company is worth today, which is kind of a crazy thing to look at, but that's the truth. You have to look at where the markets stand to see, is Stratasys attempting to strong-arm Bambu? It does not appear that they are attempting to strong-arm Bambu, from my personal opinion. What I told you guys in the video where I think Stratasys attempted to buy Bambu, Bambu said no, so instead Stratasys is like, how about get out of here, get sued, see you later. But I also think it's because Bambu is patenting basically everything that they're doing too. In fact, Bambu has a successful patent that we were able to find for an FDM 3D printer, which is, by the way, what Stratasys has patented. So there's that. It's a little bit weird. The whole patent system is complicated. And I'm not going to say that it is perfect, because it is far from it. In fact, the patent system is heavily flawed, and it likely needs a full, complete rebuild for it to be realistic for the small user to actually benefit from it more than just a gold-foiled piece of paper. Duff with the Canadian $6.99 says, keep in mind Stratasys might not be the bad guy here. We do not have all the information. Amen to that. We don't have all the information. We don't know exactly what's going on. And because we don't have all of that information, we're left to wonder what the actual heck is going to happen from this. We have to wait for discovery. Discovery is the most important thing in a short case right now, because discovery is when everyone just like flops it out on the table and says, this is what I have, take it or leave it. Right? This is where all the IP claims are going to be brought with actual evidence. This is where Bambu can fight back and say, this is prior art. Get wrecked, son. This is where we start to care. And we haven't hit any of that yet. We don't have evidence on the table yet. We just have he said, she said, right? This lawsuit is just getting started. Be curious to see how long it actually lasts. So, Duff, you are absolutely right. We haven't gone into discovery yet. Stratasys might not be the bad guy. And I know that it is so easy to poo-poo Stratasys because they're an easy target. But I want to make it clear. They could be in the right here. Steven Z says, this $5 sponsored by the Prussia Mafia coming to a Rep Fest near you, who just had a birthday. Zura's birthday was yesterday. So Steven Z, thank you very much, sir. And a happy, awesome birthday to you. FJ Prince says, Stratasys stock isn't doing too well at the moment. So, I want to bring that one up. A lot of people said, oh, look at Stratasys. Their stock is on a free fall. Look at all of the stocks in the 3D printing market. Look at all of the 3D printing companies that went public in like 2020, 2022. Somewhere in that range, that did a SPAC, a Special Purpose Acquisition Committee, I believe is what a SPAC is, and how most of them are delisted, how most of them are gone. And if they haven't been delisted, they've likely just been bought by somebody else. Nobody is doing well in this industry. Go look at 3D Systems, a company that is not related to this at all. Look at them in 5 years. Their stock was huge. 5 or 10 years ago, and it has done nothing but free fall ever since. The problem with going publicly traded is that you have a fiduciary duty to your shareholders. So the people saying, well, why don't we just get like 10 people together and buy Stratasys? That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. They would inject a poison pill, they would deny your buyout, and you would be told to go sit down where you belong, scrub, because you don't understand how it works in the publicly traded world. So, yeah. 3D Systems, their stock ticker is DDD. So if you want to go look them up, you can. Stratasys is SYSS, I believe. But of course, none of this is financial advice. I am not a lawyer. Oh, I don't even have a cat on, so I can't even do the rest of that joke. I'm wearing a Diamondback nozzle shirt today, so I can't even say this is a cat. Just as even with discovery, it might not be clear. Trial and case law shown will be the cards, will be where the cards are shown. Yeah. And the problem is they chose a judge that is known to work very fast, right? Stratasys definitely chose this space. They chose this judge. They chose everything that they needed to make things work for them, right? I'm not saying that that's wrong. It's scummy, but it's legal, right? The laws of Texas have enabled them to do this. And initially I said, well, it's close enough to Austin, Texas. So Bambu has a location in Austin, Texas. That's their USA Nexus. If Bambu did not set up that USA Nexus, they likely could have skirted this completely. Right? Like the only way that you can sue in the United States is if your company has a United States address, like a nexus in the United States. Otherwise, suing is very difficult because you often have to go to where the defendant is. And if you're not really well known on the laws of where that defendant is, gonna have a bit of a problem. So, and SoundSpark says the Motley Fool has an article about Stratasys stock. Nowhere do they mention the lawsuit, just poor earnings. Yes, Stratasys posted their Q2 earnings. Yes. They posted their Q2 earnings. They were expected to lose 5 cents per share. They only lost 4 cents per share, but they had like an 11% drop in revenue from the year prior. Like, let's be real. It is difficult in this industry right now, and the industries that are booming for additive manufacturing are the aerospace industries, of which Stratasys does not have a very large stakehold in. Stratasys, for those that don't know, is best known for their Fortis and their PolyJet lines of 3D printers. Stratasys has other machines like their SAF, which is a kind of a competitor to your powdered nylon, your SLS, your MJF, right? They're a competitor to that, but that's a relatively new technology for Stratasys. Most of you know them from their J series, so the J55, the J750, the J850, and if you've watched movies from Leica, like Kubo and the Two Strings, you've seen stop motion animation utilizing Stratasys 3D printers. Now, you could very easily argue that that technology is from the company Objet, which Stratasys acquired quite a few years ago, but Stratasys also heavily developed the full-color PolyJet technology. The big problem is they now have a competitor in this world, which is Mimaki, or Mimaki, however you want to say the name. And Mimaki is doing basically the same thing, a full-color PolyJet style 3D printer for half the price. Half the price. And Mimaki has an entire, like, era, decades of experience in 2D full color printing. So for them to go to 3D, their colors are just beautiful. And at half the price of a Stratasys, and that's just the purchase price. Let's ignore the cost of materials, because it's always an expensive part for Stratasys machines. It does make that line a little bit difficult. But Stratasys is also known for their Fortis line, which is FDM, real FDM, fused deposition modeling, and the Ultem Peak PEC. They're one of the few companies out there that have a really good system that is certified and used by U.S. military, DoD, and all of that across the United States. Yeah, as Tarzman says, let's be clear, half the price is still insanely expensive. Yes, it is. It's about $250,000 for a Mimaki, for reference. So, yeah. Bunch of money, but, yeah. Less than the Stratasys machine. The J750, J850 are around the $480,000 to $520,000 range, unless that has changed recently. But then you also have to remember your materials are expensive, and on machines that size, they carry a multi-$10,000 a year service contract, like a $20,000 to $40,000 a year service contract. So there is that. Hot Wheels says, quick question. Prince Solid bought the rights to Polyalchemy Elixir ages ago. Has anyone heard of when they're actually going to be available again? I don't know that. Obviously, last year we went out there. We made some Elixir. We gave some away. But I don't actually know when that's coming. It's now public, so we can talk about it. But Printed Solid is doing Prussiament in the United States. They're doing some assembly of Prusa printers in the United States. They've had priorities change, and I don't know if that has adjusted the to market push for Elixir. But as Dave talked about in that video, Elixir is difficult to get and manufacture the actual dye for it. So the actual like colorant that you need for Elixir is difficult to get. So it is very much a trial and error process. So there you go. We know that they were working on it as, early as winter, because they had a bunch of samples that they were selling for pennies on the dollar, so that, you were able to get test spools of Elixir. But I haven't heard anything from there. But if you do want to get yourself some awesome Printed Solid filament, Jesse filament, you can enter in the pinned comment for a giveaway for some awesome made in America, under $20. It's $19.99, but under $20 a kilo filament, shipped directly to your door in the United States, totally for free. And I know we've had a lot of people get them. So when you do get your spools, tag me in some posts about it. Share some photos of it. Tag Printed Solid in it. Everyone likes to see that kind of stuff. They didn't ask me to do that, but I want to see. I want to see what you make with the free filament you get. I think it's cool. Ronnie says, I've been out of the 3D printing last week. Just had a precautious coronary intervention with 2 stents. Holy hell, brother. Oh, percutaneous. Percutaneous. Coronary intervention with 2 stents. Brother. Dude. Well, the fact that you're typing means that's good. So why does everyone end up with, like, serious medical issues? I'm getting back on subject. Holy crap. Ronnie, I hope you get better, brother. Seriously, that's no fun. Mad Cat, stop giving people really weird medical stuff. I'm blaming you for this. But yeah, back on subject. Stratasys doesn't really have a foothold on the consumer industry, and let's not beat around the bush. Bambu came out of nowhere, 3 years ago? And all of the sudden, they pretty much own the consumer 3D printing market, right? You go to any retail store that sells 3D printers, they're likely going to have either a Bambu that they have on display, or they're going to be selling Bambu, right? We went to Micro Center in Miami a week ago. Like, I drove to Miami and back in a day, had a tire blowout. That's a whole thing. Still getting that taken care of. But when you go there, what's the big brand? It's Bambu. It is Bambu. Micro Center also had Soval, Creality. They had Anycubic there as well. But the big brand is Bambu, because Bambu has democratized 3D printing and made it so that these machines are basically just freaking appliances. And that can upset bigger companies that tried to do this and completely failed, right? Stratasys tried with the Mojo. And if you don't remember the Mojo, you're welcome, because it was a terrible machine. It was unreliable. Even for the time, it was unreliable. And you can go buy a Stratasys Mojo, I would guess, for a couple $100. And the best thing that they're valued for is to put some tannerite in and see what happens, in my personal opinion. I don't know if Stratasys is trying to make a go at the consumer market, right? the whole MakerBot line for Stratasys, to me, has not been the greatest investment that they've ever made. And in fact, they sold part of it to Ultimaker. That is still confusing to me as to how all of that occurred. But, like, that relationship with MakerBot, Stratasys, and Ultimaker still kind of clouded for me. If anyone has, like, information on that, I'd love to make that a little bit clearer. But MakerBot went from being, like, the name in 3D printing, right? When you thought of a household name for 3D printing, it was MakerBot. Everybody knew MakerBot. Even when MakerBot wasn't really selling printers to the consumer industry anymore, you still knew the term MakerBot. Your parents knew the term MakerBot, but you didn't know. Like, you knew MakerBot, but you didn't care about MakerBot because they hadn't done anything reasonable in the past, like, I don't know, 5 years, right? But people knew the name, was a household name. And I firmly believe that Stratasys bought MakerBot more for the name, as well as the fact that Bree and their team went to the nines to ensure that MakerBot could be put into pretty much every school across the country with as little friction as humanly possible. And that means when schools go to look to buy 3D printers, they continue to spend the extra money that you need on a MakerBot, which to me isn't all that valuable, but if you're in a school already, that's easy money. I don't think the name MakerBot carries a value like it used to, but being able to sell instantly to schools like that, oh my God, huge plus, absolutely huge plus. Don S. gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much. Ronnie got one. So Ronnie, as you're recovering, you can go check out some behind-the-scenes videos. BLD Designs got one. Elizabeth, My Auto Essentials got one. Tech Jeeper got one as well. Grant's Auto Essential, I want to know where you're located. I would love, like, if you're reasonably close to me, I want to come out and just do a fun video with you where we do something related to 3D scanning and 3D printing at Grant's Auto Essentials, but we completely make it to, like, it's my Auto Essentials and we use it as part of a video. I've got some ideas. If you see this, reach out to me because I've got some ideas and I might get some B-roll from you to use in some videos because we're going to be doing some car stuff. I'll talk about it in another video or maybe toward the end of this, but we're going to be doing some fun car stuff. If you like loud cars, not exhaust, but sound systems, we're going to be doing something like that relatively soon. I say relatively soon, like maybe 3 to 6 months. But we're going to be doing something. It would be really funny to have Grant's Auto Essentials as part of the video. Anyways, going to keep moving. Pip Arnis says, an old XYZ printer was my first printer. It was a great introduction to see how nice Prusa and Bambu printers are now that XYZ is parts and pieces. Yeah, I've got a DaVinci Junior. I don't know, it was a printer a client had us make some mods on and they never came and picked it up. I still have it. It's been many years. I can get rid of that thing by now. But it makes a kind of a nice end table, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of a weird printer. But yeah, DaVinci's actually the RFID one that I think that's probably the easy way to get the RFID stuff taken care of from Bambu. But we'll see. We'll see. There's so much that can go into play here. So many factors that are kind of up in the air for all of this. Because again, we don't have our discovery. So we really don't know. We have the claims. Stratasys is saying, hey, you're using our IP and you shouldn't be. And we haven't given Bambu the chance to clap back and see what actually comes of it. So I hope that we do. I hope that they just don't settle outside of court and we never get to know what comes of it. I want some sort of precedent to be set by this. And I hope that it's some sort of precedent that benefits the industry, not brings it back into the dark ages again. Shervin says, Stratasys has patents that have stopped other manufacturers like Epson or other corporations from making 3D printers for the consumer market. And now Bambu has gotten popular, the guns are out. Shervin, I'm not certain. Well, you might have knowledge that I don't. I don't have knowledge of that occurring. Because I think Epson did try a 3D printer. Am I wrong on that? I think I might be wrong on that. Not 100%. So Dark Alley 2 says, so Stratasys has a problem with their marketing. Not exactly. Stratasys knows where their marketing is. They sell $100,000+ printers to industry and then charge you $200 a kilo for ABS. They don't care. They legitimately don't care. Shervin says, otherwise, if these jagoffs didn't go after patent holders or made the patents open, we would have had awesome printers made by Japanese, Americans, and Europeans. There is a lot of, there are a lot of opinions that I have on that. We'll get to that in a second. Shervin says, Stratasys are the gatekeepers that are limiting 3D printing to hobbyists. It's their motive. That's what they did do. We can talk about that. Steve Builds with 10 memberships. Brother, thank you. Thank you for 10 memberships. By the way, when we are done, we're going to send you guys go check out Mr. Steve Builds, who is building an MMU3. I have to do an MMU3 at some point, too. So when we are done, we're going to kick you over to Steve. But Fix Him Dude, the dude, got a membership. Just Roomy. Karen Chow Designs got one, who's making some really cool stuff. By the way, we're starting a series called Makers Making Awesome. So if you are a maker and you're making awesome and you've got some cool files that you want to be showed on the channel, send them to us. DM them to me on Twitter or join our Discord at the $10 tier and higher. Get in there, post them, whatever. It seems like I'm pay-gating that. I'm actually not trying to pay-gate the video, but I want to show off some really, really awesome 3D prints and 3D files that we can 3D print in video series. Diamond Dogs Racing got one. Carl Blankenmore got one. Tim, Rodney, Sven, Jimmy, Michael, y'all got memberships. Huge thank you to Steve Builds for making that happen. R Roots says it could be related to the X1E. I doubt it is. The X1E is just a X1 Carbon with a built-in chamber heater, a switch on the Wi-Fi, and an $800+ price increase. It's got nothing to do with it. There is no enterprise company that owns a Stratasys that is using it for like what you normally use a Stratasys for. That's like government and that kind of thing. That would ever consider a Bambu to replace it. Ever. Because you'd go to federal prison. I don't care if you can turn off the Wi-Fi of the machine. You can't stop it logging. We proved that these machines log so much data. Like, ITAR doesn't have an oopsie, I didn't know clause, right? And unless you have the money and the war chest to defend yourself, you're going to prison. Don't mess with ITAR. I don't personally believe that Stratasys is seeing a huge loss of business due to bambulab, right? I think that those are far apart. Now, if there is a price-conscious customer that was looking at a Stratasys and saw Bambu, okay, I could see maybe there that they're going to lose the sale. But when that price-conscious consumer might be using it for their small business sees how much Stratasys material is, they're likely going to lose the sale anyways. Now, you might say, Grant, why the hell do they charge so much money for this stuff? It's $20 a kilo, even from printed solid, made in America. How the hell are they charging $200 a kilo for ABS? The answer is, one, because they can, because there's chipped filament, and two, on their materials, they provide certifications. So they provide you with actual numbers. So when you have to make parts that need to hit a certain specification for things, you provide that certification to the customer. You say, here's my cert, here's our practices. ISO 9001 is a pretty obvious way to do all of this. And then you're golden, and you are protected by that material certification. If you are an individual doing work like that, and let's say you're self-certifying, right? If something goes wrong, you're liable, in my non-legal opinion. And yes, you could go get stuff tested, but that's going to cost you more than buying the regular material in the first place. So you might say that Stratasys material is expensive, and it is. But it comes with those certifications that your standard consumer grade materials don't have. We talked about this with Mitch from Polar Filament, where companies will add fillers and other BS to their filament. Stratasys can't do that. And if they do, they have to put an entire new system in place to validate that material. You know that when you buy black ABS from Stratasys, it is the exact same effing thing all the time. And that guarantee, it's not technically guaranteed, but that guarantee is what you bet the bank on. It's what you bet your business on. And it's why companies, business, DoD, defense companies will use Stratasys printers, because Ultem, Peak, and PEC are certified out of those machines. So love them or hate them, Stratasys does have a foothold, and it's not one that Bambu has. And so yeah, even to me, this lawsuit came out of left field, because Stratasys for years has let infringement of these patents occur without ever a care. And so I'm wondering if maybe they had one patent that they were really pissed off about, and these other ones just kind of fit in there too. So they said, screw it, we'll do them all. We just need one or two of them to stick to actually get, you know, some sort of recovery from it. Okay. Are there any Japanese 3D printers? I mean, I'm sure there are. I don't know of any off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are. Damn it, it's Karen, who's down with the human malware. I'm so sorry to hear about that. Said there are some UV printers that claim 3D pictures because the buildup of layers of ink. Okay, yes, right. You can use 2D UV printers and just do a few layers of it and get 3D printing, but we haven't gotten there yet. Collie says, Grant, haircut. Collie, damn it, I know! I keep getting too busy. Like, it's getting really long. I don't want it to be this long. I know I have to get a damn haircut. I'm not gonna do this. I was gonna say I'm gonna leave it up to our Discord, but our Discord's gonna be just terrible. I gotta find a good barber. My barber is not working with people my age anymore. He wants to go to the like 65 and up crowd. So yeah, I gotta find a new barber. Sorry. So yes, Collie, I gotta get a haircut. I know. It's on my list of things to do, man. It's on my list of things to do. Duff said, they are, if you have to ask how much it costs. You're not their market kind of business. That's right. If you have to ask how much a Stratasys printer costs, or how much the actual print on a Stratasys printer costs, you can't afford it, right? It's more than you can afford, pal. Ferrari. Excuse me. More than you can afford, pal. Stratasys. Damn it, that would have been a really good line for that video. And then I would have gotten a Fast and the Furious quote in there. That would have been great. Would have absolutely loved to have. The world needs more Fast and the Furious quotes, right? Like, just needs more Fast and Furious quotes. Leave a like if you agree, because I believe we need more Fast and Furious quotes in the world. Diomedes says, I think the whole thing is that Stratasys is after the Bambulab X1E is trying to delay or reduce sales of that machine. No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. They're completely different markets. Like the cheapest Fortis 3D printer, it's like 110 grand. Bambu, or not Bambu. Stratasys has the F300 lines, or the FX70 line. So it's the F170, 270, 370, and I think there's a 470. Those machines are actually more like the Fusion 3 F410 that's kind of above me. You can't see it, it's off frame, but it's there, I promise. It's very similar to that. It has a 355 by 355 by 315 to build volume, but they're charging 40 grand, where Fusion 3 was charging something like, 5 grand at the time. I'm selling mine. So someone wants it. 90-pound printer made in America. It's a decent printer. I just have other machines that do what it does, but better. And I will sell it for very cheap, because I want it gone. But I don't think that the X1E has anything to do with it. Now, we'll find out in Discovery. We'll find out in Discovery. We'll find out in Discovery. Because that's where you find all this stuff out. You find all this stuff out in Discovery. That is where ultimately a lot of this kind of he said, she said stuff comes out with actual evidence. Let's see. Didn't Bambu try to patent more basic technology a few months ago? Yes. And I think that's what might have also triggered this. Bambu has a lot of patents. Most of them are in China, okay? But they have patented a 3D printer in China. And I'm betting that's what potentially pissed off Stratasys in the first place. And ultimately, if you're going to throw the book at somebody for one patent, if they're violating a bunch of others too, F it. Send them all. Send them all. Go ahead. Because it's likely the same cost, right? If you're paying the lawyers to go to court anyways, you might as well tack on as much as you can. We see this in the US justice system all the time, where they will try to, put someone on trial for like 18 different things, knowing they're going to plead down to a lesser charge and they'll still get them on something, right? But it's also the same way that when we see people that unalive others and they try them for first degree unaliving, but really it's a second degree one and they lose the case because they tried to get too aggressive with it. This could be a similar case where Bambu didn't know, and they should have. Maybe they didn't think that it would matter. But I hope this isn't a case of like Stratasys just trying to strong arm another company to paying royalties. I'll be very curious to see how all this pans out personally. Simon Snow with the 5 memberships, Nick Foster, Nycor, Professor Sleeper, DJ Soup, and Mize Firing. Right? Is that right? Yeah. Mize Firing got one as well. Thank you for the gifted memberships. Thank you all for your support. And as always, we are keeping these ad-free because of your support. Like the stream and all those things. Well, I got 128 people watching with 42 likes. Got to pump those numbers up, people. Got to pump those numbers up, people. I hate having to say that, but I know if you don't remind people, they don't do it. I'm even guilty of it as well. FJ Prince said some materials for the resin printers like the J750 cost more than the Bambu. Yes! Yeah! That's a thing. So that's what I've always laughed at. They're like, oh, look, Stratasys just trying to kill the small company. Stratasys doesn't care. The cost of their materials often are more than the cost of an actual Bambu. Like a cartridge of resin for a J750 can cost more than most Bambu 3D printers. Okay? So do you really think that they care too much? I don't think so. I don't think they do. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely I could be wrong. But I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the chat, because that one, I don't know. I feel like Bambu poses some threat. Certainly if Bambu like gets their data collection game under check and like produces machines that could be used in industry, but being Chinese based, it's very difficult for them to get any of that approved. So I don't know. Amber's here. Say hi to Amber. Dark Gallios says, hey, Grant, bit of a weird question. Do you know if Polar Filament will sell their filament on Amazon? I've been wanting to give them a try since they are US-based but use Amazon a lot. Join their Discord and ask Mitch over there. I don't actually have the answer to that. I believe they're trying to, but FBA and all of that is a real challenge for small businesses. So go ask in their Discord. Kieran says, I have a Stratasys Polyjet at work. Print's nice, but is a giant pain to buy material. Only one distributor in the US, and they are fighting with my purchasing department about something. I'm guessing you have an old Objet printer that was potentially just discontinued like ours was. So we have an Objet 30. It was just end of lifed in December of last year. So we can't get parts for it anymore. We have fully taken that machine offline. We will be doing an autopsy of it at some point. Maybe if Bambu wins this lawsuit somehow, maybe that's what we do to celebrate. We autopsy a Polyjet printer and we show you how it works. But yeah, Polyjet's difficult because when only a few manufacturers actually make the materials, it becomes pretty easy to have a worldwide shortage of materials. And that poses a huge risk if you're using it as a business. So Def says, I bet Stratasys got wind of a new Bambu product. Potentially. And Kieran says, the machine sat idle since November of 23 because I can't source materials. That machine is screwed. If you did not put that machine into long-term storage by draining the lines, filling it full of cleaner, you're gonna have a really bad time because you're gonna have a bunch of clogged nozzles on it. So, yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Bad news bears right there. I tell you, boy. I tell you what. I don't do a good Hank Hill. I'm sorry. Major Jackson, I think Stratasys has been collecting patents in the 3D printing market and was caught off guard by what bambulab accomplished. You also don't go after someone without means to pay up. Well, you could, right? You could go after somebody without means to pay up because you want to tank their company and put them in the ground, right? That is a valid way of removing competition, is just to sue them into oblivion. It's not a nice way to do it, right? The nice way to do it is just to buy them. But suing them into oblivion is technically a way that it is done here in the States. So, yeah. I don't think that Stratasys and Bambu really have a lot of market overlap. I mean, there is some with, the education world, and the education world adopting bambulab printers over MakerBot printers. But again, like, the profit on their materials alone are more than most, like, MakerBot printers cost. Okay? So we've got this... I'm, like, over here trying to decide how I want to go about this, but I really don't think that Bambu and Stratasys are as price conscious as you think they are. I really think this comes down to actual patents and the fact that I think Stratasys was attempting to buy Bambu. And a couple of other people reached out and kind of said the same thing to me. They're like, yeah, I think this was a failed buyout that was like, hey, we see the IP that you have. It is the same IP that we have. We've had it for a lot longer. We'd like to buy you. We're going to make this really easy. We're going to offer you some money. We'd like to buy you. Bambu said, kick rocks. We don't care. And so instead, Stratasys said, all right, we'll see you in court. Like, simple. By the way, speaking of see you in court, if anyone has a contact with Legal Eagle, I emailed them. I never heard back. I would love to speak to Legal Eagle about this and get his opinion, because he's also a content creator. So is Seth. Seth is a big Magic the Gathering streamer. It's Coven, Coven, MTG. You can look him up on Twitch and all that. So if you're into Magic the Gathering, you can watch him play there with his group of people. They've done D&D campaigns on Coven. Anyways, love to speak to Legal Eagle again about this. I think that would be super cool. Have him on, talk about it, but I don't know what that looks like. So if you contact Legal Eagle, let me know. That'd be super awesome. Shawnee Boy says, every time you use the word unalive, it cracks me up. Do you use that because of the YouTube algorithm? Yes. Yeah. So you won't see me talk about the big thing in 2020 using the real word. You'll hear me saying human malware. You won't hear me say the reverse of red rum. You'll hear me say unalive, because the robots get angry at it. And so we like to keep the robots happy because the robots help pay the bills. So yeah, we like that. We like making sure that we can afford our staff. Thanks. Kieran says Strats material prices are very high. They also have a strict expiry on materials as well. Yep. Materials can expire. Not saying you can't use them afterwards, but if you're found using materials that are expired, they will invalidate your warranty, which is probably $10,000 to $20,000 a year as to what you're paying. Hey, you do have an Objet 30. Yeah, Objet 30 gang. Yeah, Objet 30 gang. We're gonna tear ours apart because why not? Let's have some fun. John Olson, whose name I spelled wrong when I shipped him Filament because he won, said, do we know what kind of foothold Stratasys has in the China market? I still feel this ends up in a cross-license deal, but on the assumption that Stratasys needs Bambu's patents. I don't know, and I'm not really all that read up on IP laws in China. In fact, I'm not really read up on IP laws all that well, period. But I have some idea of how they work in the United States. Chinese IP, not a damn clue. Like, not a damn clue. But I'm sure there is something, right? We would need to have an attorney that specializes in that come talk to us. Maybe Seth does. I don't know if Seth has a lot of experience in Chinese IP, but I know it is a whole different world. It's a whole different world. A new fantastic point of view, if you will. So I don't disagree that there might be something in the Chinese market that Stratasys wants. But the Chinese market is flooded with, like, there's some really nice printers coming out of China right now. Like, some really nice full color printers that are cheap coming out of China right now. And so I'm not certain that Stratasys has a chance to put a foothold in China, right? Why would a Chinese company buy a machine that is made by an Israeli company when they could just manufacture it themselves? China has one of the largest, if not the strongest, manufacturing capabilities in the world. Why would they buy from another company when they could just literally do it themselves? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Let me know what you guys think. Duff says, for all we know, Bambu exec might have cut off Stratasys exec while trying to get to the KFC drive-thru. Who knows? There are really dumb reasons why lawsuits start, and there could be a really, really dumb reason, right? What about the fact that Stratasys stock is under $8? So what? Again, we talked about it earlier, but like, the reason Stratasys stock is not doing great currently is because they didn't do well on their earnings reports, and they haven't done well on their earnings reports for years. Most of the 3D printing sector that is publicly traded hasn't. But what you're missing is that Bambu isn't publicly traded. We can't see if they're even actually making money, right? It doesn't take a genius to look at a Bambu printer and say, how the hell are you selling it for so cheap? Yes, economies of scale are going to make up for some of this, right? But I don't think Bambu is making a lot of money, if any money, on their machines. I think they've also done what a lot of the big, like, 3D printing companies in, like, industry do, and they've started to make money on accessories and on filament. Is especially when you're making filament overseas, you can get filament landed in the United States to my door for less than $10 a kilo if I buy it by the container from China. It is easy. It is easy to do. So if they can produce it, they already have all the shipping channels to get it over here. Now they're able to produce filament. They've got now the distribution channels of getting it into online retailers. And of course, they're well known. Their material is now a huge source of profit. Huge source of profit. I would potentially bet money that if we were able to look at the books of the books of Bambu, that they are making more money on selling filament and selling accessories than they are making on selling their printers. I firmly believe that when Bambu did its Kickstarter and its first entire year of business, they did not make a penny, and they could potentially still be losing money to this day. But that's the beauty of venture capital and the beauty of having government-backed funding, allegedly. You don't have to be profitable immediately to survive. There's a long tail goal here that gets you to where you need to be. That's where your success comes from. It comes from this long tail goal, not short-term profits, where a lot of small businesses that run really lean margins have to be concerned about short-term profits, and they can't think about the future of what their business looks like. So Nathan says, maybe try the content creator Lawful Masses with Leonard French. I think he's a copyright attorney. If someone's got a contact or wants to reach out to them, please do. I would love to talk to as many attorneys as we could. I just reached out to Legal Eagle because I thought it'd be really cool to have him on a segment. In that video, it did not work out. That's okay. The same way that I reached out to the lawyers of Stratasys, None of them returned my calls. I talked to people in their offices, but none of them got back to me. I said, yeah, I'm from a media outlet. We're doing a story on the lawsuit. We'd love to ask a couple of questions if that's okay. Sure, no problem. We'll have an attorney get back to you. It's been 2 weeks. Haven't heard a gosh darn thing. But that's okay. That's how life goes sometimes. Sometimes you make calls, you do due diligence, you do research, and you end up not finding anything. That's life. David Connor Shover says, I see we have become slaves to the machines already. Feels like me today. Filament jams, ASA refusing to stick to bed. Filament jams, check ambient air temperature, check chamber temperature, check your AMS and that kind of stuff if you're running a Bambu. If it's ASA not sticking to a bed, make sure your chamber temp is hot enough for that. Make sure it's clean. When in doubt, little vision miner will go a long way. A little bit of glue stick might help. Scuffing up the bed can help too. There you go. Soundsbar says, the expired materials thing reminds me of the one big problem with Ocean Gate and their ill-fated submersible. Well, so like so on Polyjet, right? And similar to full color sandstone, another like industrial technology that we use here, those materials all have shelf lives because they get exposed. So one of the key components in the ink for full color sandstone is alcohol. So the longer that material sits, the more chance that alcohol has to off-gas and evaporate. So your dye concentration goes up, which means your color isn't as good as it used to be. Polyjet uses a UV system, so the longer those cartridges are exposed to air, the longer chance they have of getting exposed to UV, and the higher chance they have of getting damaged. Now, they are UV, like they're in bottles, so the bottles are UV resistant and all of that, but I'm sure there are chemicals, like you smell it. It smells, it's that smelly smell that smells smelly, if you will. And that off-gassing, I am certain, will modify how the process works. So, yeah. There is a reason for expiration dates, but similar to how, like, a lot of food has expiration dates, it's, you can risk it. It's probably not going to kill you. It's probably not going to kill your prints. But if you want to maintain, you know, guaranteed accuracy and all of that, yeah, you don't do that. You don't do that. And when you're running $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 machines, if you're not keeping them busy, then there was no point in running it in the first place. Ronnie says support contracts, accessories, etc. is where the money is. Yep. Look at the financials. Look at the financials. Follow the money. Look at the financials for 3D Systems and Stratasys. They make the majority of their money on service contracts and materials, because though like a service contract, that is a yearly guaranteed revenue stream until the printer is sold or end of lifed, right? Materials, as long as you're using that machine, and if you've bought the $100,000 plus printer, you better damn well be using it. If all of that goes the way that these companies want, they deliberately make their money on materials and service contracts, and they're okay selling the machines close to dead even because they know they're going to make up their money on the back end. The same way that Bambu has this filament subscription service where you can sign up for a couple of dollars a month, and that gets you filament at a reduced rate. They've done the math. They know the average person that buys filament from them spends less money on filament per month than what that dollar value that they're paying to get the savings on filament makes up for, right? And they'd rather have a guaranteed monthly recurring revenue, or MRR, on their business and on their bottom line and sell the filament at less margin but still have some margin associated with it than they would to just risk it. Right? When you sign up for filament subscription, you're guaranteeing that you're ordering a certain amount of filament because otherwise you're not getting the value of the system. So the company wins either way. And so if you were right at the bottom of where it would make sense to get that filament subscription, you buy it and maybe you order an extra couple of kilos a month. Bambu is winning. The companies win. Right? Just same way that Printed Solid, who, you know, we have a giveaway for in that pinned comment, has a filament subscription box. It's like $38 delivered to my door every month, right? And that's free shipping on that. It's normally one spool off the shelf and one custom spool. This past month, it was just 2 random spools off the shelf. That happens sometimes, but a lot of times you get these mixtapes, which are, you know, fancy spools. One-off, never be made again kind of thing. And Printed Solid knows what their margins are. So they're okay doing this because those are 2 spools of filament a month that I might not be buying otherwise. But I want those unique colors because I think they're cool. That's why. So it makes sense. It's guaranteed monthly recurring revenue. And as long as your credit card clears every month, every single month, the money goes out. Let me see. Duff says, I suppose the move could have been triggered by the majority shareholders giving the board crap for not defending their IP. You would see that. So you would actually see that in the shareholder meetings if that was a thing. It has not been a thing. I have not seen anything in like the shareholder reports that we read that would lead us to believe that that had ever come up. So if it did come up, it was not coming up publicly in shareholder meetings. So, you know, there you go. Let's see. That's Huawei and China government-backed money. They own half of the city. Allegedly. Sounds like let's talk to Stratasys. Now they have your address. My address is literally public. It's Florida. I couldn't hide my address if I wanted to. So, whatever. Stratasys knows where I live. I've worked with them. I have one of their printers. Stratasys knows where I live. They've known where I lived. Come on. Chris H says, Steve Leto, must maybe say that wrong, did a video on Bambu's terms and conditions require you to file a dispute in China. Yeah, that's literally how it works. Like, someone tagged me in that, and I would go read everybody's terms of service. Even my terms of service. If you have a dispute with us, you have to file it in the state of Florida. You have a dispute with Prussia, I would bet that you have to go to Prague to do it, right? Companies do this because they don't want to have to go to you so that you can file a problem. Like, that's typical. There's nothing wrong with that. That's completely expected and normal. So, yeah. Hagnatic says, Hagantic. I always want to say Hagnatic. Hagantic says, yeah, from my time in doing some patent work, this is a 50-50, but Strat has a hill to climb as to why they were only selectively enforcing patents. It's likely to be viewed as anti-competitive, which is kind of a no-no. Yep. And I would think that is one of the easiest plays that Bambu can pull here. Look at all these other companies that Stratasys is not suing. Look at all these other companies that have been doing business for decades under these patents, and Stratasys hasn't cared. And then all of a sudden, and so they're going to play the woe is me card, and if they don't, they're dumb, right? Oh, you know, we're a brand new company in this industry. We're one of the newest. Yes, we've had beautiful success, and everybody knows who we are, but we're one of the newest companies to come out and release a 3D printer, and this big, bad corporate monster is attacking us. Help us, Obi-Wan. You're our only hope. Allegedly. Yeah. We have to get into Discovery before we really see what happens. Could Bambu countersue Stratasys? They could. But I think they've got a much better chance in the P-tab than Stratasys thinks. Personally, as I said in the video, I think Stratasys has a lot more to lose out of this lawsuit than they have to gain. If Stratasys actually gets these patents invalidated by Bambu, right? And Bambu is successful in the way that a lot of the community wants Bambu to be successful, then we will see a huge blow to Stratasys, like a very big blow to Stratasys. So I would say that is something to keep an eye on, right? If Stratasys loses even a couple of those patents, that is a huge hit to their portfolio of assets as a company, right? And sure, they can sue to have them reinstated and all of that, but there's a certain point where that money doesn't make sense anymore. And you have to look at what your sunk cost fallacy is in all of this, and where it does just make sense to throw your hands up and go, we're partying in the USA, I guess. Little Miley Cyrus for you. Sasmark says, I think the problem with expire... Oh, we're talking about a submarine that doesn't necessarily matter. I'm sorry. Spike P says, business is keeping an eye on the numbers. Who knew? Yep. Dark Alleyway Studio says, Bambu filament is okay to good. It's their price and shipping on why I don't continually buy from them. I tend to buy bulk filament from my choice of Amazon instead. I don't like Bambu filament. I don't like it. I don't like it simply because it's not what they say it is. Their PLA filament is not PLA. There's something else in it. What is it? I don't know. I don't have one of those fancy laser test guns that tell you what's in stuff. But I want to try to find companies that have them so I can just go figure out what is actually in there. Bambu filament is way, way, way too soft to be PLA. Like, their PLA is way too soft to be PLA. Their PETG HT, that's not PETG. There's something else in it. Or it could be a high-temp variant of PETG. And we talked about this. It pisses me off when companies do this because you're buying material that you think is PLA, or you think is PETG, or you think is ABS, or you think is ASA, and it's not. There's something else in there. And those fillers often change the way that filament works. Upsets me. So, yeah. That's why I buy from companies that I can trust. That's why I buy from Printed Solid. They don't pay me to say that. They don't actually pay me to do any of this. They're giving away filament. They're not paying me a dime. I buy from Printed Solid for years because I like their filament. Really like their filament. But there are other manufacturers out there too. I just really like Printed Solid. I like they support us. I think you should support them. Let's see. Dark Alley said, Stratasys, send the ninjas to Grant. If they want to send ninjas against a Florida man, by all means, I recommend that they try. But it's Florida. We know our laws around here. Spike P100, for those that don't know, that is Polymate, the 3D printed speakers. It says, also working on a new stem speaker, using the new developments to print easier and a basic motor. Nice. Nothing fancy but practical for everyone to obtain. Well, dude, we gotta work together on some stuff. I really want to do a collab between you and Deposition Sound, where we do printed cabinets, printed speakers, but you know, we use some of their design, some of your speakers. I think it would be cool to do a little collab between you guys. But I definitely want to do more of your stuff on the channel. So if, we're going to be doing more audio stuff on the channel. We definitely don't have a giveaway coming up with Deposition Sound planned. But we will be doing more audio stuff on the channel. So all of you that love music, all of you that are, you know, maybe closet audiophiles that wear Sennheiser headphones because you like the way they sound. They're open back, so they sound really good. Even though these are like objectively not great Sennheisers, they're the 519s? HD 518s, if you want to look them up, HD 518s. They still sound way better than most, like, you know, cheap cans. But yeah, if you like audio, we're going to have a whole thing coming up, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So, keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. Get subscribed. Leave a like. All those kinds of things. Kieran says Bambu aren't the good guys here. They aren't the good guys in this lawsuit. You're right. They're not. They're not the good guys in the lawsuit. And I think a lot of the community wants Bambu to win because they know what happens if Bambu loses. If Bambu loses, just like flat out loses, we will likely see Stratasys suing everybody else. I think they would have to. Now, see, and that's where my non-lawyer perspective comes in, where I actually don't know. I actually don't know what has to happen from there. I believe that they have to sue everybody else, or they are guilty of, like, you know, picking and choosing who to apply the patents for. Which is obviously a bit of an issue, right? So, yes, I think the consumer industry wants to see Bambu win because we don't want to see another Dark Age, right? Remember, RepRap was a middle finger to Stratasys, like a big middle finger to Stratasys, because they said, we're going open source, we're making it so you have to build them yourself. You can't sue us. right? We're not companies, we're individuals, we're not doing this for profit. Leave us alone. And it worked. And a lot of like open source products have built upon that, right? But now we have this case of, can we actually go after open source? We saw the hang printer get patented even though it's been in open source for years. And now the hang printer guys have to go and fight that prior art exists with the P-tab, and it is expensive, like $100,000 expensive to do that kind of stuff. And there's not really a great system out there for protecting open source from patents. You have to remember, and I'm not going to get political here, this is a fact. So if you feel it's political, I'm sorry. But during the Trump administration, the USPTO was gutted. They were defunded heavily, and we saw patent wait times go from like 6 to 9 months to 2 years. And because the patent workers are overworked and they're underpaid, they can't do their job to the fullest extent anymore. And in fact, we talked about this with Brent Britton, that as an inventor, you can take advantage of this. Don't do a patent search. Because if you don't do a patent search and you get a patent and you're found to be in violation years down the road, you've enjoyed a few years of no one bothering you. And it requires somebody else to find that you're infringing on their patent to then it all go to court. It's not your job. It's not your job to find that stuff out. And if you do find it, you are required by law to disclose it. But that means that sometimes they screw up. And they can screw up a lot. And that sucks. It's not necessarily their fault. But no administration since has fixed the problem. I hope that one soon, no matter who gets elected, actually cares. Because there are a lot of great ideas that are getting stolen. And there's very little that the little guy can do to stop it. It definitely becomes a David versus Goliath problem without a lot of like knowledge of how to end it. And I don't like that. Spike says, what else did he say? He said, I saw something else that they're hanging out. Oh yeah, myself and the Deposition Sound guys talk almost weekly about what we're doing. They recently built a pair of Symphony 7s to see how it's going. When the worlds align, it will happen. Well, I hope it does soon. I'm excited, and I want to be involved in this. I think that stuff's just cool. Killer Prince said, what film would you recommend? I recommend Printed Solid. Not just because they sponsor us, because I really do like their filament. The only downside of Printed Solid is they don't have like the color portfolio of like a Polymaker. That's the only downside that I have with Printed Solid. I think their pricing is aggressive. I think they have some good colors, not a ton, but if you can use the colors they have, then they're great. I would like to start to see some blends come out of Printed Solid. I do like a little bit of talc in my PLA, but I want to know that it's in there. Polar Filament's also another great filament brand. They're actually selling it for relatively affordable. You've also got, and if you do want Polar Filament, go join their Discord because they offer discounts in their Discord. There's Atomic. Atomic is very expensive, like $30+ a kilo, but their Starry Night holds a special place in my heart. I really like that color. It's one of my favorite colors. And in fact, a little morbid, but I had an outdoor cat for a couple of years. Her name was Audrey too. If you don't get that reference, I'm sorry. It's a Little Shop of Horrors reference. It was not the second cat that we had named Audrey. It's just Audrey 2. And when she passed, and in fact her Rainbow Bridge Day is next month. So it's October 4th, I believe. And I'll mention something because I think that's a Friday. So I'll mention something in a video for her. I'll mention it because it's Audrey's day. But she is in a custom printed urn made out of Atomic Starry Night on my back porch. So that color has a special place in my heart. I really do like the Starry Night color from Atomic. It's expensive, but it is really good filament. So yeah, I'm a big fan of support America where I can, support Made in America where I can, especially if you can get like similar or better quality for less money in the States. I love that. That's awesome. So there you go. There's my opinion. Diameta says, I don't like the fact that printed solid's filament rolls wider than the regular ones. I have issues with my dryers. I've never had issues personally. I have an S4 from something. I have to see if they work in there. Printed Solid, like many other companies, has had a huge issue with spools. So getting spools, and spools are like one of the most expensive parts of this process in making filament. So, yeah. If you got to respool, you got to respool. I don't have to currently, but if you do, I'm sorry. John Olson says, the more I think about this, I think whoever suggested maybe Stratasys has got wind of something new coming. The next part in this is discovery where lawyers on both sides will agree to search terms, periods, etc., and turn over documents to both sides. Stratasys may very well be looking for in-development machines or even communication acknowledging patent infringement. Yes. 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 That's why I like discovery. It's where at least the truth starts to come out. Right? We know Bambu is working on more machines, and I have knowledge of them. I don't think that they're, for my knowledge, they're not anything that's going to be much different than what they already have. Just bigger. But I feel like people kind of already knew that. But yes, if they could find some inkling of an infringement in there, dead to rights. Absolutely dead to rights. You know, and they can move forward. But good discovery. Everyone knows how to play those games. And when you're hiring some of the best lawyers, right? Stratasys has hired some of the best lawyers. So did Bambu, I'm sure. I don't know who they hired. But I'm sure Bambu has some damn good lawyers for this. They're both going to play the games they need to play. That's okay. That's the way this goes. Right? But Discovery will start to unveil and pull back the curtain as to what this IP infringement actually looks like and why. Dark Alleyway said that would be sick to see. Definitely interested in seeing that video. Oh, audio stuff. Yeah. Yeah. You guys get a peek into my listening room as we make it better for 3D printing. If you want a sneak peek, I want you to Google Acoustat, ACOUSTAT, the Monitor 4. I have a pair of those. They're huge. They're 5 feet tall, 3 feet wide, and they're massive electrostatics on a pair of monoblock Adcom GFA 565s. It's the whole thing. We're going to take you into the sound room. I've built it slowly over the years. I've not paid a ton of money for everything. But we're going to take you into what is a spare bedroom in my house. And we're going to turn it into a sound room, and we're going to use 3D printing to do it. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm really excited for this. And we might be working with the company to help out with this, and I get to potentially meet them when we go up to 3D Printopia, which would be cool. Yeah. One of the few speakers that you do not want to slap. That's right. Yes, you do not want electrostatics to slap. If an electrostatic hits, we'll go over how it works when the video comes out. Perhaps the other one is already paying royalties. No, if they were already paying royalties, we would see that, right? So this lawsuit wouldn't have happened if royalties were already there. Again, it says we need to review patent apps to scan for any open source ideas that provide anything out there. They're already doing that exact thing. Yep. Yep. Andrew Hayes says, I think the X1E got the backup of Stratasys. It has impacted on their sales in a massive way. I don't believe it has. I don't believe it. I honestly don't believe it has. I'm sure the people that own Stratasys printers have also looked at getting Bambu. But again, we talked about it. Those two markets really don't overlap a ton, right? If you're willing to get a printer out of China, you're often not looking at buying a Stratasys printer too, right? And for the people that said that Stratasys is based in China, they're based in Israel. They're based in Israel. It's literally in their filing. They're based in Israel. I have USA Nexuses. Nexuses. I have a Nexus. Wait, it's not in here. Crap. Wait, is it? Is my Nexus in here? Hold on, that would be a great joke. Damn it, where's my Nexus? Oh, I can't find it quick. Oh well, I have a Nexus 5 cell phone. Because that was my first, like, real world Android phone. I also have the OG Droid with the full keyboard. Oh, I don't know where my Nexus 5 is. Damn, that would have been a funny joke. Oh well, joke's gone. But I have a Nexus 5 somewhere. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere. I think it still works. Maybe. I'm not certain on that. So Andrew Hayes says they believe that Polymaker Filament is the same as Bambu. Before they bought their X1C, they had quite a bit of Polymaker. Now it's the exact same. I couldn't tell you that. It's not like where Polymaker and Inland use the exact same spools, so you kind of know that it's Polymaker making it. They can't tell you that, but, you know, it could be. It could be. Geek Toyba says, Matterhacker sells a number of the Enterprise Bambu machines, and that's fine. There are people that are willing to pay for that extra bit, but I would argue that they are selling a considerable smaller amount of the enterprise grade machines versus the regular X1 carbons, right? Matterhackers is likely the largest retailer of bambulab X1Es. I don't even think that Micro Center carries the X1E in store because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But I still have issues with the X1 line because of its crazy amount of logging, and there's no way to turn it off. So from a business standpoint, it's not safe. If those companies want to take those risks, by all means they can. I'm not taking that risk, right? So, whatever. Benjamin N says, with Bambu and China, discovery will not be as effective. John Olson replies, says, it will be harder. Most companies will put a legal hold on documents, preserving any emails, documents, etc. for anyone named. However, if the docs are in China versus Bambu US office, not sure. Yeah, we would have to see what the agreed terms are for discovery, and if they are basically allowed to pull from the Chinese servers and get those emails, right? And this could be, but the emails kind of thing again. And I hate that, but that is how a lot of these go. And it's why my best assumption here is that this doesn't actually make it to court. It doesn't make it to jury. I would guess that we're looking to see a settlement in the next 6 months. Discovery is going to take a few months. In and of itself, it's going to take a few months, right? But that doesn't mean that we're actually going to see real, like, things come of this. Bambu might just agree to pay a settlement and a royalty because that's cheaper than trying to fight it. We don't know. And I'm, traditionally at least, the terms of that are not public. It was like when Formlabs was sued by 3D Systems. So 3D Systems has a patent on SLA, the actual laser galvo moving for resin printing. And that's what Formlabs was using. Formlabs got sued and they paid a royalty. What that royalty is, I'm not certain if it was ever public, but it was rough. And it's actually why we saw Formlabs move into the Form 2 so quickly, because I believe the royalty was only for the Form 1. There's some controversy about it. That's all going to be anecdotal at best. I don't have that in front of me. But if you want to look into it, that's probably like the last big, like, hey, screw you, you're paying us, patent infringement cases that I can think of in this industry. But this one with Bambu and Stratasys has the potential to really have thunderous impacts on the industry as a whole, right? Beyond just Bambu. Technically Newman says the Nexus 5 was dope. Former Nexus 7 and Nexus 6 owner here. Yeah, dude. Friggin' old Nexus phones. I love that phone. The same way, and I have this one here sitting with me because I'm doing some work on it. But I have a Pixel 3a XL. I have an original OG Pixel XL, which is it's right over here. I've got it. Here's an original Pixel XL. Definitely bought it used. If you know what the original Pixel can do, you know why I have this phone. But yeah. Have a bunch of old Pixel phones. Some of them I've owned, some of them I bought used for purposes. Yeah. Figure it out. I'm not telling you. Uncle Dad says the new high-end Prusa printer is more of a threat to Stratasys than any current Bambu printer. Honestly, that's kind of fair. That's kind of fair. So is... I got one little piece of hair sticking up. That's annoying. I'm going to fix that. There we go. So is the 22 IDEX from Vision Miner. There are a lot of high-end, high-temp printers that actually, like, have a wrist to Stratasys, but they're all missing the one thing that Stratasys has that they don't. Right? Certs. Sure, you can put Ultim into a 22 IDEX. You can put Ultim into a Prusa HT90. You can put Ultim into a Intemsys FunMat HT, which are like $5,000. But none of them will produce certified parts with standards that are set by the FAA and other regulatory bodies for those machines because they don't exist. Stratasys is the only one that has those regulations. And if you're playing in that market, those regulations are how you make your money, right? When we look at Ultim is what, like $400 a kilo cost? Stratasys charges around $2,000 a kilo for it. Last I checked. Could be more, could be less. Don't know. Don't really care. But when you print it on a Stratasys machine, machines that you don't get to choose like accelerations on, you just click print. And it works most of the time. And it is what it is. Right? That material comes out certified for what you need it to do. You spend that money because it matters. And the companies that buy those parts have the same thing. We don't really care what it costs. We need the part. We care about the solution. We don't care about the price. And that's a big deal. They care about the solution, not the price. Solving the problem has more value than actually making it cheap. They want the problem to go away. They don't care if it's cheap. Andrew Hayes says, I have a friend working in a reseller and they've sold a lot of X1Cs and X1Es industry. It doesn't surprise me, right? So the fun thing with ITAR is if you do have a reasonably well-segmented network and you're printing non-ITAR stuff on it, then you're pretty safe. You're not going to piss anybody off. But you have to make certain, right? And a small business, we can't do that. So it's safer for me just to leave it offline. Are we going to see that something might come down the tubes from this? I don't know, right? The US is still kind of pushing to ban DJI, and Bambu is in the same market as DJI. In fact, it's the engineers, and it's the same venture capital firms. So there could be some stuff that comes down the line from that. And to the guy that told me that bricking machines because of this lawsuit is nothing but, what did he call it? Like FUD and all that. It's not. There's a high probability that is... We know it's possible. We know that machines can be bricked remotely, right? If they can be updated remotely, you can send a kill command remotely. It's not that difficult. But it's not unreasonable to go down that route. Is it likely? Probably not. But I believe if you're running a Bambu right now and you're following this lawsuit, you might want to keep it offline. Especially because the latest update on the X1 Carbon means you can actually update it over the SD card. Oh my God! It's too little too late for me. I don't care. I still keep my machine hacked. But still. Oh yeah, fear-mongering. Yes, fear-mongering. Yeah, they called me, they said that I was fear-mongering. I'm not fear-mongering. It's a legitimate potential. Go to hell. It's not fear-mongering. You have to look at all possibilities. And the last thing that I want to see have happen is like the command is sent overnight and all these machines end up bricked, right? Is it going to happen? Probably not. But I think it's good to keep in mind of what's possible, right? It wouldn't surprise me if we start to see Bambu machines go locked. It'd be curious, but yeah. Yeah. Pip says, even accidentally, a Bambu CloudStrike scenario. Yep. That was CrowdStrike. Was it CrowdStrike or CloudStrike? Whatever. John also says, and if Bambu profits are as tight as suspected, going to court is not what Bambu wants. It's too costly. Always cheaper to settle. Cross license or, per me, partial buy of Bambu. Yep. I think that Bambu has the ability to write blank checks if they need to, right? Their venture capital firm, IDG Capital, is one of their largest venture capital firms that fund them. That would be, the companies that are going to start writing the checks, right? If they are actually backed by, government in China, their checks would be written from there. I'm guessing they're running a pretty tight margin, and they're effectively reinvesting every bit of profit that they're making into making the next printer. It is clear and obvious to me that Bambu is going for a total control of the 3D printer market. And to the guy that says that, Stratasys is just trying to build a monopoly, if anything, it's Bambu that's trying to build a monopoly. Bambu's doing a very good job at it by forcing competition to get better, or they become, invalid. And I think that there's a ton of value there. They're doing competition the way that I like to see it, by forcing everybody to keep up or get left behind. Not doing it the way that we see a lot of companies do it, which is we just buy all of our competitors, right? Take Amazon, for instance. I think Amazon, Google, Tesla, I think they're on the verge of being split. This is all speculatory. It's not financial advice. I think they're all on the verge of being split. FTC has taken a lot of just kind of inklings into how big these companies are. And we've seen these companies produce multiple headquarters throughout the United States and in other countries. These were headquarters that didn't exist before. They had one headquarters. Since the FTC started poking around, they're producing all these new headquarters. It sounds like they're going to get broken up the same way that AT&T was broken up back in the 80s and 90s. I forget exactly when AT&T was broken up, where you had Big Bell and Baby Bell, basically. And hilariously, that actually helped AT&T in the long run. But yeah, that to me is bad monopoly. What Bambu is doing is kind of the way that like monopoly is designed to be, right? That is how a real monopoly is made. You just outdo everybody. You win by doing better. You don't win by having the most amount of money. You win by being the best. And if Bambu can do that, to the victor goes the spoils, I say. And remember, I'm someone who has, like, famously, I guess, been very, very much against Bambu. I don't like them. I don't trust them. But I believe if they can outcompete everybody else, and if they can make a better printer than everybody else, to the victor goes the spoils, because that's how business goes. I don't have to like a company to see what they're doing is good for the consumer as a whole. I still don't trust them. And I don't think I ever will, because they have not proven themselves to be trustworthy. But that's my personal opinion. Uh-oh. Oh my god, I'm dropping frames like crazy. Spectrum! I'm gonna give it a second or two and see if it fisses. Looks like we might be coming back. If your stream buffers, just go ahead and refresh it. Sorry, nothing I can do about it. Let me make sure everything's clean on my side. Yep, Spectrum's angry. Is there a football game that just started? Did a football game just start or something? Who knows? Sorry, nothing I can do about it. YouTube just yelled at me saying, "You're not receiving enough frames." Kieran Solaris asks, aren't Bambu guys DJI? That's what DJI did in the drone industry. Sell it a loss or near loss, and then once they own the market, they can jack up the prices. Exactly. That's exactly what DJI has done. Exactly what DJI has done. Kieran says, Spectrum, speaking of bad monopolies, you're damn right. You're damn right. Amen to that. Haganic says, Grant praising Bambu was not expecting that. I know you are even-keeled on them, but it's nice to hear disagreement but respect. Yeah. So I don't like Bambu because I've had really bad experiences with them. Like, really bad. And, from 2 lemon machines to them openly telling me I was getting better support than other people because I was a content creator. Like, we get it as content creators. We know what occurs. But as soon as you tell us that you're doing it, we can no longer take help from you, because that means that we're getting experiences that the average consumer isn't. And that's wrong. That's immoral and unethical as a content creator. And any content creator that takes extra help from them because they have a connection, I'm sorry, but it's a little unethical. And I'll call them out, right? Don't be unethical, people. Now, if you can look the other way because it's not, they didn't say it, fine, look the other way. I'm not going to tell you not to, because we all kind of have to. But when I found, and it was told to me verbatim, oh, I'm sorry, I see that you're on our KOL team. Let me transfer you over to that department. I pumped the brakes and said, no, absolutely not. Take this machine back. I don't want it. I don't want any extra help because I'm a content creator. That's not how this works. Then all the stuff where they called me a liar in their blog post. They didn't call me specifically, but if you look at the timeline, they're calling me a liar. We proved them wrong. They never issued a correction, right? All of this is why I don't like them. I don't like them because they're collecting too much data. It's way too much data. There's no valid reason to collect it. It's not needed. And there's no way for me to turn off all of that data collection. That's why I don't like them. They claim they're doing everything above board, but they're not providing evidence. I provide evidence. That's why I don't like them. But they have innovated in this industry. They have done good in this industry. They have pushed this industry into a renaissance. And they are beating their competitors by simply innovating. And regardless of my feelings, that is good business. I can respect the hustle. I can respect what they're doing. I can respect their machines. I don't have to respect them. That's how I look at it. I respect what Bambu is doing. I don't respect exactly how they're doing it. And there's always that little inkling, the back of my head, that data is being used for something else. I can't prove it. There's no easy way for me to prove it. But I got that inkling. I don't like that feeling. That feeling of, this is too cheap. This is way too cheap. Why is it so cheap? It's that little thing, right? It's like when you buy a new refrigerator and it's cheaper than the last one, but it's internet connected. Why? Why does your fridge need to be internet connected? Why? Data collection. The answer is data collection. It's always data collection. In this day and age, data is worth so much more money than anything else. Hell, that'll be fun. If that is part of what we find out in the Discovery, I would love Discovery to show me what data is being collected and why. My God, I would love to see that. And as Mad Cat says, if you like these kind of rants, and this is your kind of thing, $10 tier and higher in our Discord. Our $10 tier higher gets you access to our private Discord, where you get way more of me uncensored. Like, way more of me uncensored. Yeah. Andrew Hay says, I remember your issues with Bambu They were working off scripts with no common sense thrown in. Oh, they were. I thought you were saying that I was working off a script with no common sense. I was about to dig into you, and then I realized when you say they, you're talking about Bambu, not me. I don't know if you. I don't know if you just saw that switch of wait. They're not hating on me. They're hating on Bambu. I was about to just start defending myself, and I realized, no. They're not saying that I was on a script. I've never used a script. I want to. Scripts would be so much easier. So much easier. But then that requires me to write scripts. So, there's that. Yeah, Andrew Hayes, the LOL. Yeah. Did you see me just get red? And then all of a sudden, wait, stop. Cuban. Turn the Cuban off. Let the Polish come through a little bit more. Soundstar says if Stratasys wins, what is the risk to end users of infringing printers could consider themselves infringing? It's not the consumer's fault. So I don't think that there's any risk to the end consumer, but certainly there'd be some sort of regulation that comes through the tubes, right? Whether that is, Bambu printers get locked to something or whatever. They could stop supporting the machines altogether. There are a lot of options, right? And given that this is like a technology that's been out in the market from other companies for years, if this does actually go to a judgment, like where a judge actually makes a decision, whatever that decision is will set precedent for the next few decades of this industry. And if it doesn't go at least mildly toward the favor of bambulab here, say goodbye to consumer grade 3D printing as a whole. Because a lot of those patents are what your Crealities, your Sovals, your Anycubics, your Prussias, everybody uses those patents. Allegedly. Gotta say allegedly after all of this. Should just add in the beginning, every statement that I make has the word allegedly at the end, regardless if it does or doesn't. Right? Because this is all speculation. I don't have real answers for you. I'm not an attorney. Right? And next week when we talk with Seth Polanski, that's not going to be legal advice either. He's going to be talking from someone that knows about lawyers. He's going to be talking as being someone who knows what they're doing. Right? But we're not going to be giving legal advice. It's not what this is about. Prior art, David Connor Shover says. Yes. I get it. I get prior art. But if prior art was the easy argument, why the hell is Hang Printer still fighting the lawsuit? Why are they still fighting the patent that was granted to some random company about a printer that hangs from the ceiling when it's been in open source? If it was so easy to say, oh, here's prior art, get effed, then Hang Printer would have been done. But it's not. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. Because for those that don't know, the US legal system sucks. It sucks. There's nothing fun about it. There's nothing easy about it. It is long, arduous, and as I said in the beginning, the only people that win are the lawyers. The guarantee in this is that the lawyers win. There's no other guarantee, right? My best guess here is that this settles outside of court, the patents stay in place. Maybe there's a consortium that go after Stratasys in the P-tab. But man, you need money. You need real money to go do that. And I'm not certain this industry has the money to go after a Stratasys, a Bambu, or whatever. That's what I worry about. 117 view and 82 likes. Feel free to like, and if you want to donate a little bit to help keep the streams ad-free, memberships and all that go a long way. We're going to wrap up here relatively soon, but as you know, stay until after I do my send-out, right? After I close the podcast, we give away Filament. So make sure you stay so that you can win some Filament. So just be aware of that. Andrew Hay says, Europe tends to throw out ridiculous patent applications, the US doesn't. Well, Europe has a well-funded patent system where the US system isn't. As I talked about, it was gutted during the Trump administration, and we haven't seen it come back since. I talk about Josh Malone a lot. Josh literally moved to Washington, D.C. to be able to better lobby for the small guy, to be able to better lobby for all of this. Josh spent millions of dollars defending his patent for the bunches of balloons prototypes against Telebrands, the As Seen on TV company. And spoiler alert, I'm ruining what happens in the movie because it's a documentary. He wins. But traditionally, when you win a patent, right, when you win a patent suit, the infringing company, they're done. They're not able to produce anymore. Telebrands properly argued that even though they're infringing, forcibly stopping production of all these Zuru bunches of balloons that they were making would cause undue financial stress to their company. And that's where I would say, good. You stole a patent, good. Get screwed. But the USPTO and the judge of that case decided that no, that's not good. And that we have to keep we have to keep As Seen on TV alive. So they made it so that they just had to pay Josh a royalty. And if you want to see a way to just kick somebody when they're down, that's how you do it. This man spent millions of dollars defending his IP and won, but in my opinion, kind of still lost. Because instead of getting all the profit, he just gets a percentage. And that's not cool. Square Peg says, will MSLA be affected by the Stratasys lawsuits? No, there's nothing in MSLA that is being brought up. Obviously, the cloud side might. So on the newer Elegoo printers that have cloud, maybe there, but that's it. So like MSLA as a technology, no, it's not going to be affected by this. 3D Systems would be the one that would likely have an MSLA patent and not Stratasys. So there's that. John also says, U.S. patent law have been a problem for a very long time. Circa mid-90s, I wrote a report while working toward my project design degree on the patent issue. USPTO has been horrible and gets worse. In his opinion, shorter patent lifespans and forced FRAND licensing would be a path forward. Now, I gotta see what FRAND licensing means, because that term I don't know. Is that reasonable and non-discriminatory licensing? FRAND, it's fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory. Okay, I agree. I like that. That's a good one, John. I like that one. Yeah, FRAND licensing would be a path forward. A lot of times we see companies just buying up other companies for their IP, and then they just put them on a shelf, never to be seen again. I hate that. That pisses me off. And that's what a lot of the additive manufacturing companies have done. 3D Systems and Stratasys are both guilty of this. That's why their stock price went up, and then all of a sudden came back down. They went on shopping sprees. It was supermarket sweep out there. They had their arm on the shelf, dumping stuff into the cart. That's what they were doing. And then all of a sudden, they did nothing with it. So those assets became more of a liability. Right? Because if you're not utilizing the asset and all you have to do is defend it, it's now more of a liability, in my opinion, than an asset. Stratasys bought the cloud. It was one of those patents they bought in 2020 from another company. They bought it. I have never even heard of that company. They bought the IP, right? Call it what it is. They bought the IP and they did nothing with the company, allegedly. Right? Just, yeah. The big boys are guilty of this, right? But Bambu is not innocent here. Bambu has been patenting everything that they're doing, including patenting 3D printing. So don't think that Bambu is just like, the little kid that's getting bullied by the big bad adult here, right? Bambu did this to themselves. Ultimately, they did this to themselves. Now, does that mean that puts Stratasys in the right? In the eyes of the law, currently, yes. In the eyes of the consumer, obviously not. It does not do that. It is a little bit different, right? The eyes of the consumer looks at this as what's best for me. I don't really care what's best for them, what's best for me. In the eyes of the consumer, if Bambu loses, we're all screwed. But in the eyes of the law, if Bambu loses, we're upholding the law. So it's a complicated one, right? Often the law disagrees with what people want. Sorry, I can't change it. Neither can most of you. If we work together, maybe, just maybe, we can make something like that happen. But right now, I can't control it. Neither can you. That's where I would say you got to get out and vote. Your local elections have probably already happened, but primaries for the president are coming up. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care why you vote. I care that you vote. Voting is the only way that we as citizens have a meaningful way to get our voices heard and are able to actually impact change in our communities. Yes, if you want to go run for office, by all means, go ahead and try. It is a long, it's a terrible road. And all of your skeletons, no matter how small they are, will come out. The new age of politics are that it's just slinging mud as much as possible. As much as I don't like that. But if you want to run for office, by all means, go. But if you're not going to run for office, the minimum that you can do is go out and vote. If you're in the United States and you're a citizen, get registered to vote, go vote. Because getting the right people in office, regardless of who you think they are, I don't care. But getting the right people in office is imperative for intellectual property reform to occur. Period. What else do we got? Duff says FISEC is a trade for example, is patenting and trademarking open source projects. Yep. And that's because patenting in China is a little bit different, right? But yeah, they're patenting open source projects. It's rough. Yeah, never did we all think that Bambu was going to be the one that we would turn to save the 3D printing industry, right? DV Laserworks said, will this force Bambu to open the logs? I literally opened the logs for you. What more do you need to see? I showed you everything that was in the logs. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent. Most of you didn't watch halfway through that video, so you didn't even get to see the stuff that was bad. I showed you everything. And apparently that was stupid because you all just wanted to see the bad things. Go watch that video. If you want to see what's in the logs, it's all there in plain English. I show it to you. I redact the stuff I have to redact. But otherwise, I show you everything that is in a bambulab log. Like, it's there. It's been there for months. And as John Olson says, discovery process could expose what's in the logs if they are made public. Discovery doesn't have to be made public, and it probably won't be. I don't expect this discovery to be actually public. It would not be beneficial for either company for it to be public. So my expectation is that discovery is done privately. But if you follow the court listener documents, which are listed in the original video, which I've linked in the description, you can at least follow along and understand what's going on. I have them open as tabs. They're always going to be open until the lawsuits are over. And as big things occur that we can see, right? If we can see it, we're going to do videos about it and talk about it for you guys. DV Laserworks says, in my defense, I've been working and moving. Well, it's been like, I did it back in like January or February, homie. This was a while ago. Geek Toyby says, do local elections not normally happen on election day? All of mine here in California happen at the same time as the presidential elections. And November during off years too. My local elections just happened on the 20th. So, I don't know. It's going to be different for everybody. But, yeah. Yeah. Diometa says, regarding your video Bambu logs, I have a permanent ban on the bambulab Reddit. Oh my god. Oh, that's fun. Wow, you get censored for showing the truth. Sucks. Nolan Create says, it was a good video and pretty sure how helped me dice on my purchase, but keeping it LAN if that really matters. It's still going to collect data. You can't stop it from doing that. So, yeah, just don't send log files. And if you do, send an empty tarball. They don't look at them anyways, from what we can tell. But yeah, guys. I think we're gonna call it. I think we've done a solid what? Oh my god, done almost 2 hours. Holy crap. Done almost 2 hours on this. Who knew I can really talk about this stuff because I'm very passionate about this. Remember, I'm gonna do my outro, but stay because we're gonna give away some filament from Printed Solid to some awesome people in the chat. So, this has been episode 202 of the Making Awesome podcast, talking all about Stratasys versus Bambu what it means for makers. Next week, we have an actual patent attorney coming on where we will be talking about it from a professional standpoint. That is all I have for you all today. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loves. Don't forget to leave a like, rate it, and all those things on the platforms that you're listening or watching on. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one. Okay, let's give away some filament. Let's give away some filament. Let's give away some filament. We got 44 people. That's it? Only 44 responses? I'm going to give you guys another 60 seconds. 60 seconds for some filament. And then we're going to give away some filament live here on the channel. Who wants some filament? Then we're going to go send you to go hang out with Steve Builds. John also says when you have to set a log file to Bambu, by gzip, use gzip up a text file that only says redacted, mind your damn business. That is hilarious. I should do that. Ronnie says outside the US. If you do win outside the US, we send you a shirt. Once I figure that all out, I have to go back to the drawing board on merch again. I'm sorry. This merch is supposed to be done. I have to go back to the drawing board on that. How to enter? It's in the pinned comment. Say that like a few times. John also said I'm not entering the giveaway. I just won some last time. Actually, John Olsen with an E won it. Yeah. All right, I'm closing entries in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Entries are closed. Let's go do the giveaway. How is Mad Cat always the first one that enters this? Crazy. Let's go to the Wheel of Names. Let's go to the Wheel of Names. Hello? Oh, my poor computer is so angry right now. Shuffle a few times. I don't know. Let's give away, what, 2, 3 spools? I don't know. We'll call 3 names, and then I'll see if they're in the chat. Okay, let me make sure they got it right. Where is the name? Where is the name? Where are you? Yep, Sparks on tap. You get a roll. Let's go to the next one. You got to be in the chat to win. Got to be watching the video to win. Let's see. Did they get the math right? Oh my god, they didn't. I am so sorry. You did not get the math right. Gotta go again. I'll redraw that name. I'll redraw that name. Let's see. Where is the next person? Y'all got to be able to do a basic bit of math. I'm sorry. You got to be able to do a basic bit of math. Sorry, I had the wrong one chosen. Let me see. There we go. I am Electro. You win a roll of filament. Beautiful. And one last one for good measure. Let's see. Oop, that's the wrong tab. I gotta find them. And NYCIRL. You win a roll of filaments. Are you all there? Are you all there? Sparks on Tap says, Grant, I can't win. Why can't you win? It's a new month. You can win. If you want me to re-roll it, I'll re-roll it. I don't care. I'm happy to re-roll it. Like, it's up to you, dude. If you want me to re-roll, I can. But it's a new month, so technically you can win. We reset it every month. So if you won last week and you win again this week, that's fine, because it's a new month. How did you get it to be 46? What? I don't know. Diomedes, you didn't get chosen. So, all right. If you did win, let me know. I see. So to win, you gotta then reach out to me either on Twitter or on Discord. It's at you know me on Twitter, but it's at 3D Musketeers on Discord. Shoot me a DM or something, and we'll go from there. All right. Hey, NYCIRL, whatever. They're here too. All right, so I got 3 winners. I will mark you all as green. Please reach out to me to get your filament, and we will get that out to you courtesy of Printed Solid. Check them out. Links in the description down below to Printed Solid. Thank you all for coming out. Let me set it up so you go hang out with Mr. Steve Builds, because he is working on an MMU. Wait, no? What the heck? Wait, Steve is working on MMU this week, isn't he? Because the YouTube thing says he's working on the black box still. No. No, he's... Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second. I gotta make sure I do this right, because if I'm sending you guys to Steve Builds, I want to make sure I'm doing it right. Paste. Give me that video. Okay. There you go. All right. I will see you all later. Have a good weekend. Stay safe.